Welcome back, Savages. Tonight we're talking about government remote viewing. We were all over the place.
We were.
But
yeah.
we went to Michigan. So, as we've talked about it previously, we went to the Mid-Michigan Paracon.
Yes.
Yes, that's a lot of words to say.
Yes.
And we did so many things.
We did. We met a lot of very cool people.
We did. But tonight's topic kind of goes into what we did before we left. But he worked with the Warrens.
Yes.
For 5
He was there
5 years?
20, I think it was 20 years. He was their protege.
He was. And he did amazing. So his lecture that we got to do at the end of our little adventure talked about possession and governmental things, and we kind of decided to run with that topic tonight.
Yeah, it was battling the demonic, I think
Yes.
is what his seminar was called, and he had a bunch of different religious figures who perform exorcisms talking about their experiences, and it was quite interesting.
I was surprised that they weren't like your typical religious people.
No.
Like, they weren't just like, Jesus, 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 God, 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 this is why you're this way.
Yeah.
Like, they actually went into, like, people have good and evil intentions. That people have free will.
Mm-hmm.
You are allowed to make your own decisions. But sometimes you make decisions that cause possession.
And you do
whatnot.
things that kind of open the doors and get yourself into situations where this can happen.
Yes.
Which was quite interesting to me because I agree with what they said, but at the same time, some of it I don't fully agree. Because, like, for instance, a lot of it was about Ouija boards and pendulums and stuff like that.
Tarot cards and portals. And
Yes, you are opening doors. Not everybody should just pick one of those things up and run with it. There are certain precautions you need to take.
Right.
And when you don't take those, that's when things can happen.
Yeah. I mean, paranormal investigators as a whole, I'm not just going to pick a team and be like, oh, they did this wrong. Paranormal investigators as a whole, I wouldn't say that we're professionals, but we are in a way.
We're at least educated enough to know what not to do.
But the whole point of them talking about demonic possession in people, whether it was, I mean, they talked about, government officials, and they talked about military people and people that, had, like, mental disorders. I mean, they went into, like, the full thing. And you can't just say, well, they're this way because of this. So the fact that they went into, like, the whole thing of this is how they became possessed was really cool.
Yes. Not just, okay, this is where we're at, what do we do now?
Right. We know from the countless movies, TV shows, books, that the military and Satan has always gone hand in hand.
Yeah.
And yes, I know about what has gone on in the world, which we're not going to sit and talk about. You can't just be like, okay, the government is possessed.
Right.
And run with it.
No.
Because it's not how that works.
No. But that's a whole nother podcast for that one.
Yeah.
Because, that's on our list of ones we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Because then you get into the whole Illuminati, the secret societies, and how there's people out there that say that they're all Satan worshipers and this, that, and the other.
I mean, listen. I'm part of the Satanic Temple, and I don't have millions of dollars in my bank account.
I said Satan worshippers,
Same thing.
No, it's really not. You know that, and I know that, but the average Joe doesn't know that. That started us on this journey of reading
Which is we're good at.
Yeah. We can lose, like, unlimited amounts of time on that. There was this thing called Stargate that the government had started back in the 70s.
Yep.
And now, Stargate was this little section here. There's other little sections of this where the government explored other things, but a lot of those documents are not released. The Stargate has all been released with the, the Freedom of Information Act or whatever it's called.
Yes, but the CIA doesn't recognize that any of this documentation is real.
Oh, well, I found it on the CIA website. Because the Stargate was actually run by the CIA and the Defense Department.
Mm-hmm. We're going to get Men in Black knocking on our door.
Like, look at this blinky thing.
Yeah. You don't remember anything.
Yeah. So they took people that were said to have psychic abilities. Mm-hmm. And they would put them in different locations, and they would run all these random tests on them to the point where a lot of their evidence ended up having to be thrown away because they were doing this for like 10, 12 hours a day. And by the end of that particular time frame,
you get people who start hallucinating. Yeah. If you don't sleep on a regular basis, mm-hmm. if you don't eat on a regular basis, if you don't drink on a regular basis, your mind shuts down. Mm-hmm. You basically go crazy. Then your organs start failing.
Yep.
And government officials, that's what they do. They push and they push and they push until, well,
the point of no return.
Yeah. And then they're like, okay, now on to the next one.
Yeah.
Because, to the government, people are disposable.
Yeah, we're all just a number. They had, I would say seemed to be like about a handful that they actually came out and said, okay, these people hit the mark 90% of the time. Mm-hmm. So then they decided to try remote viewing because they wanted
at that one.
Yeah. They wanted to be able to basically spy on other countries and what they were building, doing.
For some context, the remote viewing is where said person is in one area while the person they're targeting could be in a different state, different country. And basically it was that these people could tap into the minds or of the person they're searching for or the persons around that person that they were looking into to get information.
They had a couple people that
Telekinesis, I think it's called.
I don't know. Yeah. They had a couple people that were so good, they didn't even need to have a person on the other end. They would just give them latitude and longitude, and they would go and start describing things.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, it's a little weird. Like the one guy, I would have to look for tabs and stuff on here, but to find his name. But he actually described, I believe it was Jupiter. And he saw the ring before any of the ships and cameras actually got that. So when we sent the thing
Armstrong and whatnot, the rockets.
Yeah, when they actually had images, they were like, holy crap, this guy described this to a T. And then there was another one.
In solitary confinement. Put him in like that Magneto chamber where he can't get anything out.
Yeah. Well, that was another thing too. They took these people and they put them in Faraday cages. It's basically a room that is designed so it keeps like frequencies out. They make Faraday bags for the spirit boxes to get rid of some of the interference.
Sounds like one of those rooms that you just like you can hear your heartbeat and
yeah.
whatnot.
Probably.
I know, that would drive me nuts.
Yeah. But some of the things that these people did was absolutely incredible. The one guy described, I don't think it might have been the same guy, but he actually described places on Mars, I believe. He described beings that he saw. He described, like, everything.
So he's an alien and he just doesn't want to admit it.
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We did not just say that word.
Which is why the CIA is always considered to be the Men in Black.
Yeah.
Because things happen, then they don't happen, and then people disappear.
Yeah.
We know that. Which I was honestly surprised that even anything like this you could find research about. Because we know that anything paranormal or unexplainable happens and the government finds out about it, it's shut down.
Yeah,
done.
squashed immediately.
You know, like everything with Roswell never happened.
Yeah, Skinwalker Ranch.
Right, Skinwalker Ranch. Nothing, nobody's there. Nothing happened. But we know that something happened because there's documents. There are people who have said things, and then all of a sudden those people no longer exist.
Yes.
The government likes to shut down the things about paranormal because they want to be greedy and take it all for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't work that way.
Mm.
It's not. My brain stays here. I'm not going to be a little spidey senses for the government. Here, do you feel this? Nope. Yeah. I'm not telling you anything.
I got nothing.
About the guy that you're talking about, I was reading a bunch of different things. There was like, they had psychic mediums. They had people that could, like, they could see, supposedly, they could see, like, through different rooms, different walls. People that could see across the world. Like, they could actually tap into somebody else's mind and control them.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's creepy. I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
But a lot of it was people that did have, like, psychic abilities. So it was a lot of mediums who are not so well heard of anymore.
That's the one. Joseph McConnell is the one who went back to Mars and saw all the things.
Well, I'm just convinced he's an alien. Well, I mean, if you can sit and describe a planet that nobody even knows exists yet,
yeah,
or they know it exists and we just haven't been able to get there because we're not technologically thank you, advanced, he's an alien.
I mean, it's possible.
He's going to be one of those people that in the end of the movie, he peels off his face and he's green.
Yeah. There was a lady named Rosemary Smith that...
Of course her last name is Smith.
Well, of course. And that probably wasn't her real name.
Probably not.
She was given the project to find where a Soviet aircraft had crashed. All they knew was that it was in the Congo. She was given a map. She took the map and she pinpointed right there where she thought it went down. So they took the map and they planned it out, and wouldn't you know it, 2 days later they found it right in the exact spot where she said.
That reminds me of the Charmed episodes where, like, they sit and spin the pendulum and they're like, find it, and then it hits the map. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be cool, but I think it would also scare the crap out of me at the same time. Because I think that's too much power in somebody's hands. But, I mean, that's kind of how I feel about these people, though.
Yeah.
Like, if these people were really capable of doing those things, what else are they capable of?
Right.
I mean, because, we've all seen it in, again, movies, TVs, books, all that crap. We've seen it that people that have superhuman abilities, or that the fact that their brain just works so much faster than the average person, it gets into their head, and then they're all of a sudden like, oh, bow down to me because I'm more powerful than you.
Right.
And then it never ends well for those people.
No, it really doesn't. I don't know. I think it's interesting that some people have this kind of ability that they can harness and do these things.
I always wanted to be able to do that when I was a kid, especially to the people that bullied me. I wanted to be able to, like, pick their nose, like, while they were, like, with their friends or whatnot, or, like,
yeah,
have their car, like, break down.
right.
While they're, like, someplace in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I think that would be cool to be able to do those things. There was another one. They wanted to spy on...
$5 says it's the Russians.
It was. And I think it was what they were assuming was a nuclear facility.
I'm not surprised. Look where we're at now.
Right. So they had the guy, and again, I can't find it at the moment to get his name, but they told him what they were trying to do, and he went into his trance or whatever.
His eyes rolled back in his head, and he
Yeah.
said, "Namaste."
And he said he described everything to a T, and they had this one thing that they knew if he said this, that he was accurate. And it was a particular type of crane that looked a certain way. It was slightly different from just a normal crane. And
Like a bird?
No.
Or like
a
machine?
Machine.
Okay.
So he's describing what he's seen. He's laying there in the, like, right above the roof of the building, and he's describing everything he sees around him. And he gets to the part about the crane, and he's describing it with complete accuracy.
So that's like astral projection mixed with X-ray vision.
Yeah.
Superman.
Yeah, I mean...
Superman could fly.
Yeah.
And he had X-ray vision.
Yeah.
Superman.
Yeah. Except his real body was still back with the people.
Close enough. But that is astral projection, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Which people can do.
Yes.
People have been known to astral project. There's a book on how you can astral project.
I've read a lot of it. I've watched some of the YouTube things, and...
Well, I think a lot of it is, like, you have to, like, really, like... You have to concentrate.
Yeah.
But you have to concentrate to the point where you, like, make yourself a vegetable.
Like, almost
dead.
Comatose.
Yeah.
Which I have not mastered the whole meditation thing enough to be almost comatose, because I squirrel.
Yeah, having ADHD and trying to concentrate for, like, yoga and things, I get, like, to the point where I feel like I'm going to fall asleep, and then I'm like, oh, shoes, noodles, work, da, 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 and it never goes well. For those types of people that can do the whole astral projection and, like, really get into their mind, you have to be able to, like, block everything out.
They changed the name of Project Stargate, which I think is absolutely hilarious, because I don't know why they did it, and I'm trying to remember what they changed it to. Operation Grill Flame.
Yeah.
Stargate sounds so much cooler.
Operation Grill Flame sounds like somebody that they were just sitting around, like, at a cookout one day, and they were like, this is what we're going to do today.
But that right there, because it went from the CIA to the Defense Department, back to the CIA, then back to them, and they changed the name, that makes me think something went sideways.
Right. Well, they actually had a few different names for it. So it was called the Gondola Wish.
Okay.
Stargate, Grill Flame, Center Lane, Project CF.
I know what CF could stand for.
Sunstreak, and Scante. Scant. I don't know. Until 1991.
Huh.
Until they renamed it to Project, or Stargate Project, and then they turned it to Project Stargate.
Oh, jeez.
Either way, I wasn't thought of till 92, so.
Anyways.
But this project, the fact that it goes back to like the 60s, from like late 60s to the 90s, that is the prime time for, what was it? Roswell, Skinwalker Ranch,
Oh, yeah.
aliens,
Oh, yeah.
people seeing the Men in Black all over the place. That was the timeline that everybody was on the bandwagon, that the CIA has something going on. Or not even the CIA, just the government in general has something going on.
Yeah.
Where they have delved into the paranormal and now it's all being shut down. I mean, you had the government, the CIA, the Department of Defense taking over like sections of woods that to this day are marked as military personnel only, and we still don't know why.
No, and most everything from that time was the little green men is why they had all that blocked off. But then when you start researching, then you start finding out the things about them trying to harness the energy from demonic entities to use that in warfare. Then you've got the whole Bigfoot thing comes into play, and they're trying to capture him, and basically it's all just
how they can use like possessed people to take over
the world, basically.
Yeah. That's not how it works. Like, you can't just step in one day and be like, Steve, we need you to summon a demon, and we need you to do this.
Right.
That's not how it works.
No.
But you have all of these people from that time for almost 30, 40 years trying to tell their stories about how the CIA, we saw this and the CIA said no.
Yeah.
We saw this, the CIA said no. All those people that swore up and down that they saw lights in the sky and how they saw aliens in their backyard, and the CIA steps in and was like, no.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you get Project Stargate and they're like, well.
And half of those people died or disappeared. And
right.
That leads into this guy. His name was David Morehouse. He was a highly decorated third-generation Army officer, special ops infantryman, the whole 9 yards. He was also an elite airborne ranger, blah, blah, blah.
So he's got all the medals on his
jacket. So he was wounded by a stray machine gun bullet, and after that he started having these visions and haunting nightmares. Once people started hearing about that, is he was also having visions of another world. So was it another dimension? Was it through the veil? I don't know. But
has anybody ever seen Pinhead?
Yeah. When he started to talk to the military people about this,
they were probably like, no.
They recruited him for Stargate.
Of course they did.
Once that happened, things kind of went south. He actually wrote a book detailing all of this, which would be kind of cool to read.
Did he actually get to publish it?
Yeah, it is published. Okay. I don't know if you can still find copies of it anywhere, but once he realized what they were doing, they were trying to take the remote viewing into turning it into weaponry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So once he realized this, he considered this a gift that was given to him, and he was not going to let them turn around and use it for war. He started this big campaign to kind of blow the lid off of Stargate. Well, when he did that, there were numerous attempts on his life. The lives of his wife and children. They tapped his phones. They would make all kinds of crazy phone calls all hours of the day. He ended up being court-martialed. That basically he was forced to resign.
So once again, the CIA was like, nope, none of that happened. This guy's not telling the truth.
Right. But he never gave up. He still wrote his book and swears by everything he says.
We can get it on Pines.
I don't know what Pines is.
I don't know, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be very interesting
Till our
to
phones
read.
start crackling.
Yeah.
What does that sound? I don't know. Nothing's wrong on my end.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. I come in peace.
We'll just start noticing these big black SUVs start following us everywhere we go.
You can read my sticker along with the rest of the United States that sees my car. I can't say what my sticker is.
No, she cannot.
But it's just, you get a lot of these people who do write books about what they encountered in the military, just in general.
Yeah.
And a lot of it gets shut down. A lot of it, you hear about these people that either court-martialed, their status, whether they're like really high up in the military and all of a sudden they don't exist.
Yeah.
Like those police officers that were, debadged and everything because they swore up and down they saw UFOs.
Yeah.
And the government stepped in and was like, no, you didn't.
Nope, no. It was an air balloon.
Yeah.
Air balloon. A weather balloon.
I knew what you meant. I meant what you knew. But it always seems like if there is something paranormal or unexplainable, the CIA is the first.
They're the first ones to call it quits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it kind of sucks because people like us who want to be able to explore these things are immediately dismissed.
I think part of it is because they want everything to stay secret and stay hidden because they do want to use it against other countries or their own people, whichever the case may be. But also, I think there's still that little bit of not wanting to admit it's real.
It's like what we do when people are like, oh, well, do you really see ghosts? No, not all the time.
Yeah.
Have we? Absolutely.
Yeah.
The fact that I was in a clinic by myself and described the lady in black who used to live in the house, and we found out that, yes, there was a lady that I described to a T that lived in that house.
Yeah.
And everybody looked at me like when I said that, like I had 3 heads, and I'm like, I saw her. Nobody else saw her. Just because you see something, but somebody else didn't see something, doesn't mean that necessarily that it didn't happen.
Right.
But we know that you are not going to see a ghost head on all of the time.
Right.
A lot of the time, you will see them out of your peripherals.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10, it'll be peripheral.
But you can still describe them.
Yeah.
And for these people that went through what they went through to be used as a weapon in the end is awful.
Yeah, it's like a slap in the face.
Right.
They thought they were doing something good and like, oh, these people believe me and okay, I'm going to do good. And
then next thing you know, they're strapped down to a bed having to stare at a screen for hours at a time, being poked and prodded at for hours on end with no food, no water, and then all of a sudden they're like, okay, well, you're not useful anymore. Goodbye.
Yeah. But you can't go back to your life because you can't go and tell what we did to you.
Right, because people are going to think you're crazy.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of it is, too. Like, you hear about all these stories that people are crazy and all of the things that they've written about. Like, yes, I poke fun at the ufology thing. Do I necessarily believe that there are aliens? To a point. Do I believe about all of the abductions that have happened? To a point.
I would believe them more if it wasn't always, no offense to anybody out there, but if it wasn't always the trailer park stories.
Yeah.
Go get some guy in the mansion. Go get somebody out of the White House.
Yeah. I mean, the only one that, like, I can truly believe is what happened in Alaska. That became the movie based on the Encounters movie, which I know you don't like to talk about. But, again, you had the government who was like, this is happening to all of these people. She worked for the government. And then all of a sudden, the CIA shows up and they're like, nope, shut it down. You're done. None of this is real. None of this happened. She had video documentation that it happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all of a sudden, the CIA is like, nope. Back it up. Nothing happened.
Nope. Suddenly, all of her video is gone and she's made out to be a crazy person.
Yeah. But that's what the CIA does with these departments. If you research the CIA and the paranormal, it's a revolving door of people. You see the names. So, like, XYZ was here for 2 years. XYZ was replaced 2 years. 2 years. They give you enough to get you in the door, tell you what you need to know, and then they're like, all right, cool, you're done. You don't know anything. You don't know who we are. None of this happened. Goodbye.
Yeah.
But you can't go back to your lives after that.
No. Your entire perception of everything you've ever known is completely changed at that point. I
now understand why people wear tinfoil on their heads and cover their windows. Because if I had something like that with the CIA that, I signed up for this and they turned me into some kind of guinea pig.
Yeah.
I'd hide in tinfoil too and pretended like I didn't exist.
Yeah. This doesn't exactly fall in line with Stargate, but it does with the government trying to cover things up. They are, this was a while ago now. This was back in 2019. They were making a movie based on an exorcism at a military base. It was an Irish priest, Malachi Martin. He wrote 15 books that covered topics ranging from the harsh criticism of the Vatican to Satanism. But he claims to have assisted with 11 exorcisms over the course of a decade in the United States. That doesn't include anything he did.
And they were all soldiers, weren't they?
Not all of them, but a good chunk of them was. If you think about it, think where they've been, what they've seen. They have been in such harsh conditions with raw emotion.
Middle of nowhere.
Death.
That haunts people.
Yeah.
A lot of soldiers come back with, PTSD because of all the crap that they've gone through. I can wholeheartedly believe that.
Oh, most definitely.
They come back. Everybody says that when you're with somebody in the military, expect them to change.
Yeah.
Because when you go into those conditions, they do come back different people.
They do. And while they're in there going through this, they are so vulnerable to anything that could potentially want to possess them.
Oh, yeah.
That it happens just like that.
Right.
This one, he was brought in by the government to to perform an exorcism on a young soldier. Now, this particular article, of course, doesn't go through everything that was going on. This one was made into a book by the priest, and therefore they decided to make a movie out of it. How many more are out there that not only this priest has done, but any number of priests, rabbis, shamans, anything? And if you think about all the unclassified documents about the government wanting to harness the energy from the demonic or evil spirits, what better place than on a military base? Right,
because when you sign up for the military, you no longer have rights to who you are.
No.
You are owned by the government. Therefore, the government can tell you where to go, who to go to see, all of that crap. So for the paranormal and whatnot to be mushed together, the fact that some of these soldiers have come back from places and they talk about the things that they have seen, and all of a sudden people are like, whoa, how did it? And they just stop telling the story.
Yeah.
Because somebody in a big black SUV showed up and was like, you need to shut your mouth.
Yep.
Nothing happened. This isn't what happened. Keep it up and you're going to disappear and your family's going to disappear.
Yep. And then you've got the other side of the coin where they come back and they start to tell these stories, and then all of a sudden, everything is just gone.
Yeah.
And they're like a shell of who they used to be, and they remember nothing. Kind of scary.
It is kind of scary. It's baffling.
Yeah.
Really. Because, I mean, there are millions of people in the military, not just like our military, but the military in general, between the United States and Europe and whatever they have like over in Australia, and we know what they've got over in with the North Korea and South Korea. We got like how many people are actually affected by demonic possession or psychic abilities or just the paranormal in general that the government has covered up.
Yep. And then that also can lead to, there was a document on the CIA website that some random guy walked into a big hotel in Washington where all the government bigwigs were, and he starts rambling on about how Satan and the evil entities are trying to possess people to get control of the world. Has anybody taken a look at any of the government people in the last 20 and 30 years?
That's a whole other rant we can get on.
Right? But, I mean, if you go look through all this stuff, I could totally see something like that.
Yeah.
And again, you would never know.
No.
And if you did know, you wouldn't know for long.
No. Here, take a look at this pretty light. Pink.
So, I don't know. I guess we should probably wrap it up before we disappear.
Yeah. Because we're going to have many more topics about the government and paranormal things.
Oh, yeah.
Unless they show up at our door. And then if you don't see us for a while, thanks for watching.
Come find us.
All right, that's it, guys. We're going to call it a night.
Bye.
Bye.